A strapping young man, 25-year-old Scott Johnson, handsome, athletic, and full of life. Until one night, his life comes to a violent end in a bloody stabbing.
That's when I just started slicing.
This is the disturbing police video of the man who stabbed him, talking about the attack just moments after it happens. His name is Robert Verdugo, a roommate of Scott's former girlfriend. Scott stopped by after a night out drinking. Verdugo told him to leave. Cops say when Scott refused, the two men got into a knife fight, and the ex-girlfriend frantically calls 911.
Globe 911, what is the emergency?
They're fighting. Can you get someone up here, please?
Police show up and find Scott in a pool of blood in the street. Verdugo using his t-shirt to try to stop the bleeding. It's too late. Scott's gone.
I can't even imagine the pain he must have felt.
Adding to Roberta Johnson's heartbreak comes this shocker. Verdugo won't be charged in the killing.
I believe he acted in self-defense.
Former Gila County, Arizona attorney Daisy Flores chose not to prosecute, citing the state's stand your ground law.
You have no duty to retreat in Arizona. He reasonably believed that deadly physical force was necessary to protect himself.
Detectives examined the evidence, revealing that after confronting Scott Johnson, Verdugo went back into the house to grab a large hunting knife, then returned outside to attack. The medical examiner's report shows Scott died after being stabbed in the heart. Despite the brutality, Verdugo walks free. Then comes a bombshell. Robert Verdugo reportedly has a history of drug use. That night, he admitted to taking methadone, Xanax, Paxil, and Ambien. Stand your ground laws do not allow a defendant to claim self-defense if they're engaged in illegal activity at the time of the incident, including drug use. Reporter Dave Biscobing from our Phoenix affiliate ABC 15 put the former DA who refused to press charges against Verdugo on the hot seat.
How come Mr. Verdugo wasn't tested for drugs, for alcohol?
Should have been.
These police pictures raise even more questions. They were taken shortly after the fight that night, but Verdugo has no signs of injury. There's also controversy over Scott's exact location when he was stabbed. Verdugo claims Scott charged at him and that the fight happened in the driveway.
The entire altercation occurred in the carport on the residence.
But a former Phoenix police detective hired by Scott's family says the evidence shows Scott Johnson wasn't killed in the carport.
Not credible because of the amount of blood loss.
Bill Delatorre claims the blood trail leads down the driveway and the brutal slaying actually happened much farther away, more than 70 feet from the house on the side of the road. That revelation, plus Verdugo's admitted drug use, changed everything. The new district attorney was compelled to reopen the case and sent it straight to the grand jury.
The man should be in prison.
After the trial, it took the jury just 5 hours to convict Verdugo of manslaughter. In this phone interview, Scott's mother reacts to the news.
You know, I have cried on and off for the last 7 days, Dave, and you know, by the time I got to the courtroom, I had such a good feeling about the verdict that day that I actually just felt happy.
Verdugo was sentenced to the maximum of 21 years in prison. Justice for a mother who will live the rest of her life, coping with the pain of losing her only son.
You took the joy of my life. You took my only son for no reason. I think that you should pay for that.
Now, reporter David Biscobing from ABC 15 in Phoenix is with me now. David, do you think Verdugo perhaps stayed at the scene holding his T-shirt on Johnson's arm in some sort of an effort to appear that he was innocent of this murder, but then the jury saw through that?
Well, there's only two people that really know what happened that night, Scott Johnson and Robert Verdugo. And obviously Scott's dead and Verdugo didn't testify. So what were his intentions? That's a question I don't think we're ever going to really get a true answer to.
David, why do you think the former DA, Daisy Flores, was just so convinced as to Verdugo's innocence?
Well, I can only tell you what she told me, and that she truly felt that this whole confrontation happened in the driveway and that the 3 stab wounds were justified. Now, obviously, the family, a new prosecutor, the judge, and a jury all felt differently.
Well, reporter David Biskobing from ABC 15, thanks so much for the update.